To start this video by not beating around the bush. Let's face it, we'd all like Jan dead in the ground. We'd all love to reunite in unity, opening his coffin in 15 years, opening what covers a symbol of the complete demolition of a man once known as Janet Weiss. This symbolism, however, is a complete cover-up of what is actually going on inside of Jan's alienated little bubble. So long, farewell to Jan, Potato, and the Almerzo stalkers from my very city, and I do hope you cease to exist. There's a quote, and growing up in the Appalachian Mountains, I'd hear this a lot. You know, the people who'd walk by the schoolhouse, they would mutter under their breaths when you walk by, "The unrighteous from Satan stay in hell from the second they enter their cribs to the day they reinstitute hell, and I do hope you never come back." The evil from sinners' blood can be detected by the thirstiest vampire, the hungriest cannibal, and burns in the nostrils of the anosmic. The hate that spills from this boy, Jan, has never been recorded. When you repeat the words of the offenders, you repeat all of their actions, the motive behind their actions, their motive, every single thought they've ever had, every child life they've snuffed out, and the motive behind them. Jeffrey Dahmer of Montreal was known to be extremely racist. His motive behind his cannibalism, his excessive necrophilia, was extensive brainwashing by online alt-right Nazi white supremacist, transphobic, zonist, racist, anti-Semitic, KKK, Trump, MAGA, Trump-owned online cults, sharing hateful memes with each other and gathering, burning down black churches and LGBTQ library events bi-monthly. He was so filled with hate and rage towards the African American race that he began targeting black victims, forcing water inside their temple, leaving them to wander for hours in his very apartment before their demise. Putting hands on another human without their explicit consent is completely, utterly inexcusable without their consent. Jan has done this once before, undressing children with his very eyes. I've seen him. I've seen him in public. The moment he did such atrocities, I wanted to strike him down, but I was in a wheelchair at the time due to rocks that were thrown to me by the suspect. If you are unaware, there's a category of pornography on the internet called hurtcore, where people pay to view moving pictures of children being tormented within seconds of their untimely death, and sometimes they even do slaughter them on camera. This is on the internet. This is an extreme example of the more extreme sides of the internet, and there have been multiple FBI profiles that suggest Janet has actually been behind viewing, sharing, distributing, making this content with street children he kidnaps or trades with families for food. Due to Connecticut laws passed in 2022, it is difficult to find exact details on the crime that he has allegedly committed against children, but there have been extremely recorded incidents of him dangling children by their ankle bones, skinning Every child was naked as this crime is recorded on his wooden tripod, but none have yet been identified as a still open case. After the skin was removed, it was preserved in jars, which I've seen and drank with my very eyes. I confronted him about this and was immediately criticized as he stormed out the door. I was extremely disappointed but not surprised with how he handled the confrontation. He has never been good with confrontation, and he castrated himself in public when the boy was age 16 after a woman begged him for her purse back. I was also in a building with him. This must have been around October with one other woman who looked Taiwanese. I do not remember her name, but it was probably Cho or something. She looked about 13, but it was hard to tell as her eyes were black slits and she spoke out of a hole in her throat. It was also very dim in this building, and we had bought it after it had been put up for sale for very, very cheap in 2003. I saw him, and he put his hands around her waist. And the good Father, he art in heaven, his name is God. He blocked the memory from my mind, because I have extremely good Christian faith, and I do not remember what happened next, nor would I like to recount. The general memory is that he pounced, biting her on the shoulder, causing her to screech. He knocked her onto the marble floor, and she passed out. There was blood puddled around her head, and there's a bit of ambiguity in the reports, but it's generally agreed among reporters that he did not stop from the blood. The monstrous pedophilic, necrophiliac freak that stood before me in this moment, who then proceeded to make love to her corpse, and I could hear him struggle against a rigor mortis as he was inside of her. With every move, the air bubbles crackled and crew inside of her. Her hand kept digging into his chest, which of course he had a rib removed when he was 13, and where there lay a dent, so it went right through him. I saw her stiff fingers force inside of him, conceiving penetration in the heart. I couldn't see much inside him as it was dark, but from the sound alone I think her nail went inside his right atrium in the lower coordinates of his bisexual. He tore her open, ejaculating in her liver. After we pulled her pants up, I saw that her liver was inflamed, literally protruding out of her body. I called the police immediately after, pulled my pants up, but he was gone by the time they arrived, and the flesh off her body had been eaten, so they could not identify her or her age. If there's any information on anyone who looks like Jan, acts like Jan, reminds you of Jan, please report it to the proper authorities by mail and send me a message through internet email, and I will report it. Thank you.